everybody, and welcome to a crazy wild ride with Steve-O. This episode's loaded with so many shocking bombshells. I don't know how else to describe it, but crazy. And speaking of crazy, I just recently got connected with a new sponsor for this show called BetterHelp, and they are an online way of finding therapists. And you know what? I needed to get into therapy. I knew I needed to get into therapy, and thanks to BetterHelp, I did get into therapy. And it was so easy to do it online without having to get into some awkward waiting room and without having to get in the car and drive anywhere. I mean, dude, this little questionnaire they had me fill out really zeroed in very specifically on what it is I wanted to work on, and their humongous network of licensed professional accredited therapists is just, they're really good at syncing people up with the people who are best suited to help them. And I just had my first session. I'm thrilled with it. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. Plus, this whole service is so convenient and affordable, and I can get you 10% off your first month. So if you go to betterhelp.com/Steve-O, you're going to get 10% off your first month of what is already so affordable and professional therapy. It's good for your mental health. I want you to be a happier, healthier person, and it's okay to work on yourself, man. I do it, and I'm better for it too. So go to betterhelp.com/Steve-O and get 10% off of this whole therapy thing, which I'm sure you've heard helps people, and it can help you. I believe that. So enjoy, be happier, be healthier. BetterHelp, HELP.com/Steve-O. Now, let's get into it.
Do you smoke?
I don't smoke weed now.
No, cigarettes.
Cigarettes now.
Your voice is like that naturally?
Yeah.
You went to a doctor. The guy was like, you just suck at talking. Like, he just, like, strains his throat muscles when he talks.
Really? Is that it? But it wasn't always like that, right?
It's gotten a little crazier over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go, man. We can keep
Slow
going.
I'm going to be interviewing you.
Yeah, by all means.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Feldman.
What's up?
Yeah, dude, you've met Scott Randolph.
Met Scott, yes. Sitting here so nice and intimately with you.
Yeah.
The gorgeous Paul Brisky.
Gorgeous.
Howdy, Corey.
How are you, Paul? Gorgeous.
I'm great, man. Thank you.
Gotta say, I'm super excited about this.
Me too, man. Me too.
Thank
it's a
you
wild
for-
ride.
Yeah, dude.
No, dude, I've watched your stuff for many years and all the crazy, nutty stuff you've done.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And you guys you ran into each other before, or is this the first
I feel
time?
like we kind of met somewhere, but never really talked.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we met at the Playboy Mansion, I want to say.
Yeah.
What year?
Which
I mean, that would have been,
wouldn't surprise me.
I think,
Yeah.
early, maybe 2002 or something.
Oh wow.
How many times have you been to the Playboy Mansion? I didn't
Not
know you
many,
went.
and I got kicked out.
Oh, yeah?
Surprise.
Every
I forget why I was kicked out. I wanna
Probably
say-
running around naked, jumping in the grotto.
I think it was more of a cocaine thing.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think I was
They caught you doing drugs.
I think I was doing cocaine really blatantly out in the open.
Right.
And
They're like, there's bathrooms for that. So,
Yeah, there's cocaine room for that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
There's
actually,
titties for
Hef
that.
was not a fan of hard drugs.
Right.
He was pretty anti-hard drugs, from
Right.
what I remember. Yeah, you never saw him touch anything really, but
sure.
you know, he was a fan of the Quaaludes. I think that was kind of well known. You know, you hear lots of stories that he had his special doctor that took care of special needs. You know.
How do you get invited to the Playboy Mansion? Is it like a letter or a phone call?
Yeah, Steve, how'd you get invited?
I can't remember.
You just showed up.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
kind of a prerequisite.
That's why they kicked
right?
him out.
I think I actually do remember, and that it was, it came through the Jackass channels.
Okay.
That there was the Jackass
Like
guys.
a publicist, somebody probably around the time one of the movies came out, and they got you up there as hey, he's got a new movie out, let's get him up here. It'll be wacky and zany. Watch him create all kinds of problems. And they're like, oh yeah, that'll be fun. Oh wait, his problem is actually doing cocaine on the front lawn? No, we can't have that. Sorry.
Yeah. We didn't realize he was coming in character.
How many times have you been there?
3,000? I don't know. I was there every weekend.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Dude, that's epic.
Starting at how young?
And these are like post-dated because there's no more Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, what is it? What is the place
It's
now?
just a mansion.
A museum?
Without the Playboy. Without the, well, it's not even that. It should have been that. If they were smart, that's what they would have done. They would have preserved it. But instead, some dude took it over, bought it, and like literally like changed it all. Like, how do you go and deface a historical monument? Like, why?
I seem to recall the story. I remember the story was that Hef sold it while he was still alive.
Yes.
But the deal was that the guy had to keep it the way it was until Hef died.
Not only that, but Hef had the right to live in it until he died. So what that did was force the people who had basically taken over the company and taken over all of his stuff to try and like make him as uncomfortable and miserable as possible while he was still there. So they were doing stuff like telling him like you can no longer have, you know, your guests over in the parking. You can no longer have the parking guys do your parking for you. You can no longer have your poker nights or your movie nights or whatever. These guests aren't allowed anymore, you know, whatever. They would just like take away all of his freedoms to the point where he felt so like isolated and miserable that he didn't even want to live. And I think that's kind of, sadly, that's kind of how it went down in the end.
Damn.
Yeah.
And he sold it because like financially he just couldn't personally keep it up?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, you know, and I don't want to go too deep, but there was a, let's say a buyout with a certain company because he was in a lot of trouble, say around 2007, 2008, right around the time, right after we shot up there, actually. We did the two Corys shoot up there. My ex-wife, Susie,
where we shot
in the
up there.
Right.
Not where we shot up there.
No, yes, no, we weren't shooting up there, but we were shooting up there.
Up there, yeah.
Comma. Up there.
Right. So we were shooting for the two Corys and have asked my ex-wife Susie to be in the magazine on the show, and that was part of it. And I got to actually direct Hef, which was really cool.
Wow!
Because you know all the other showrunners were like scared to touch it. Like, we don't want to talk to the guy. What are we gonna say? I'm like, don't worry, I got this. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, Hef, here's what we need you to do. And he was great. He was very helpful, very cool, very cooperative. And yeah, he asked in a very kind of amazing way. Like, it's so cool to have that footage. I'm not her, so I wasn't really asked to be in it, but to be her, you know, he like sits her down at the dinner table, which we've sat at with him 1,000 times. You know, it's like where he would like have the dinner in between the movie. Do you ever go for a movie night on a Sunday? Oh yeah, because that's kind of like that's more like the casual, chill, like only really close friends.
I was not inner
playmates.
circle.
Right. But you would have been, you know, if you didn't screw up and do blow.
Right.
Anyway, so that's kind of how it happened for me. I mean, I went up to one of the big parties, you know, and then like 5 years later, I was invited back for a movie night. And then like once I went to a few of the movie nights, eventually I was invited to come Sunday during the afternoon by Ron Smith. And when I went in the afternoon a couple times, Hef liked me, you know, he saw me around and he was like, hey, you know what? You're a cool guy. I was like, thanks. He's like, if you want to come on Fridays or Saturdays, anytime, you're welcome. Anytime on the weekends, you're welcome. So my name was added to the permanent list. So basically, I didn't have to get clearance. I could bring whatever girls I want, unless it was a big party where you still had to get, you know, whatever authorized for your guests. But yeah, I was like on the permanent list. So any Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I wanted to come up, if I wanted to bring 3 girls, 4 girls, it didn't matter. I would just show up and roll up to the gate and they would let me in. So,
and you said that you were married at that time?
I was married at that time, yes.
So was it your inclination to be married and bring 3 or 4 girls?
No. This was not then.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. I'm saying that's where my status was. And then once I got divorced, then yes, I was up there quite frequently with a lot of guests.
With 3 or 4 girls,
Yes.
man, that's pretty fun.
For somebody that's never been, like, what's a party at the Playboy Mansion like?
Well, here was my whole theory. My whole theory was I didn't want to bring I didn't a lot of people say we don't want to bring sand to the beach, right? I didn't want to take sand from the beach. I didn't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, because I knew that if I was, then I wouldn't be invited back very often. You know, I liked my status, and I knew that my status was there because Hef saw that I respected the boundary. You know what I mean? It's all about respecting the boundary. He's the host. These
Right.
are his girlfriends. Stay away from his girls.
Right.
You know, very simple. I enjoyed going up, seeing my friends. I had like a second family up there. So I enjoyed seeing all of, you know, the people that you see every week. It was like a weekly group and everybody got together. We watched movies. We had fun. We had laughs. Stay away from his girls.
So were you like
I bring my own girls.
super careful to bring like the hottest chicks?
Of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't date anything other than that anyway.
Right.
Like, you know, seriously, like I have very, very, very high standards, like always have. And like detrimentally so, because those are the girls that screw with your head the most, of
Right.
course. You know, the
Yeah.
hotter they are, the more they're going to screw with you.
Right.
But whatever, I was willing to take that, you know.
I love that.
It's a risk you were willing to take.
I love that.
Exactly.
And
Take one for the team.
I love that, and I love even more your candor about that.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, man, like hot chicks.
Right.
That's it.
I mean,
Like,
that was my deal. I just, you know, when I was a single guy, I'm like, first, and it's not because I love everybody. I love
Sure.
people. I love humans. I love my fans, whether they're big, fat, skinny, small, tiny, round, thin. It doesn't matter. You know, I love them equally. And I find beauty in everybody. Unless
Sure.
they're just a total dick bag, and then if they
Well,
are, then there's no
then-
beauty there. But you know,
His slump buster's like a Prague model, you know? Like,
but you know, for me, it's like if I'm gonna have to be with that person and wake up every day to them and be excited about it, then you know it's got to be really, really good, because
Right.
otherwise there's gonna be 3 or 4 more running around the corner. They're gonna be like, "Corey, come here this way." And I'll be
Right.
like, all right, cool.
It's interesting, man.
Yeah, and being famous then in like the 80s and 90s is a totally different world. Even you're like,
Oh no, not then. I'm talking now.
oh, even now. Oh, here we go.
I'm talking like in the last 10 years.
Nice.
Because no, in the 80s and 90s I was shy and awkward and
Oh.
didn't really date a lot
Now you've
of
hit your
girls at all.
stride.
Well, in between, okay, let's back it up. So between my first marriage and my second marriage, I had a lot of growth. Between my second and my third marriage, I had a lot of growth. And by growth, I mean
boners.
that was awesome. No, but yeah. No, what I meant was that like I had a growth, meaning like self-appreciation or feeling the value of my own worth.
And finding your voice.
Right, like whereas, because like I was very shy, I was very awkward, and I was very insecure because I was made to believe I was fat and ugly my whole life. I was beat up by kids at school. I was beat up by my mom. I was always bullied. So like I was told I was fat and I was ugly, and I believed that up until I was 35 years old.
Man, I have
So I
trouble
was
with
very
that.
insecure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know that when you're a hugely successful child star,
Yeah.
which you were, I mean, right? Like, so I know that when you're in a school system and you're the big child star, that there's actually like a bullying component. Where
Right.
even though you have like insane amounts of power
Or popularity or whatever.
popularity,
Yeah.
you're
But not in school.
You're a celebrity, yeah. And,
But in
and
school,
so,
it's a different ball game. You're like you're the dumb kid because you leave all the time. You're the stupid kid, and,
Right.
You know, and you must think you're special because you get to like not be here when the rest of us have to slave away at school
Right.
all day. That's the way they looked at it.
it's pretty incredible to me that you can be bullied in that kind of a situation. But then what else to be made to believe that you're fat when you were never fat, right?
I was a little bit chubby. Like I had like the
What movie were you fattest in?
I would say it wasn't like maybe a movie, but I think definitely on the Bad News Bears TV series. I mean, I got
Okay.
a big round
That
ass
was in
face.
the fucking 70s.
I was 7 and 8 years old. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is called screwed up in the head.
Sure.
Man. You know, your mom tells you you're fat. You think you're fat. I wasn't allowed to eat in those days. She would literally keep meals from me or like hide the, you know, candy and the junk food because I
Right.
wasn't allowed to eat it. So that was then.
Right.
But then even all the way up until Gremlins, like look at me in Gremlins. I'm filling out those pants
Okay.
pretty tight, you know? I got
All
like the
right.
chubby face. I got the little bit of a belly there.
Gremlins was like 84,
That was like
85?
83.
Oh,
83, I was
83, wow.
shooting it. Yeah, 83, I was shooting it. It came out in 84, 85. And then Goonies we shot in 84, and it came out in 85.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And,
by Goonies, I started to lose a little bit of it. And then by Stand By
Stand By
Me
Me,
is
you were
where I
as thin
like,
as a rail.
okay, came into my...
Were you already doing coke on Stand By Me?
No, hell no.
Okay, that's good.
No, I was
He's like
still a
those
kid.
gremlins, dude.
No. That didn't start till...
Ladies and gentlemen, be warned. We are about to discuss powder cocaine, and I cannot be more grateful for having given up that kind of powder for a new kind of powder called Athletic Greens. Man, this is the one-stop shop for all of my supplement needs, man. If you want to wake up in the morning and take a lot of supplements on an empty stomach, that's real bad for you. Plus, who knows if they're any good. Athletic Greens, I wake up and I dump one of my travel packets or a scoop from my big jar right into a pint of water. It is absolutely delicious. It's totally okay on a completely empty stomach. It fills in all of my nutrition gaps, and trust me, I do have nutrition gaps. I don't always eat that well, but with Athletic Greens, I'm getting all of the nutrients, all of the vitamins, everything I need, and it's really good for my gut and my digestion. I mean, dude, this is the best stuff, and I use it every single morning religiously. And I got a funny feeling that you could use it, you know, big time. It's sourced from all whole foods. It's all just good quality stuff, and again, absolutely delicious. If you go to athleticgreens.com/Stevo, then you're going to get an entire year's supply of immune boosting vitamin D plus 5 of these travel packets. And dude, I don't go anywhere without my travel packets of AG1. Yeah, so let's get you on this, man. Go to athleticgreens.com/Stevo for an entire year's supply of immune boosting vitamin D and 5 free travel packets of AG1. And just watch. See how much better you feel, how quickly you do. Man, I stand by that product. I use it every day. I love it, I love it, I love it. And now let's talk about a much worse powder.
Okay, so the first time I did cocaine was because my mom was doing it with somebody on the set of The Lost Boys.
Okay.
This hot little Asian woman who I was sitting there one night because I was like falling asleep and I was depressed because I'm like, how the hell am I going to stay for these night shoots? I've never done a night shoot. I mean, I've done like the Friday 13th night shoots, but that was like, we come in at noon, we work until midnight, and then you go home because like when you're a kid, they're only going to let you work so late, and then they're going to call it. But like now, I'm still a kid, but I'm 14 years old, 15 years old. You know, when you get to those ages, all of a sudden they start treating you more like you're an adult, right? And the work code still applies, but they'll be like, oh, we're going to do like a half day, half night. So we're coming in at 3 in the afternoon and we're working until 3 in the morning. And I was like, wait, what? I wasn't very good at that. So I was a little frustrated. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to stay up all night? And this little Asian lady comes up to me and she's like, hey, you should just do what your mom does to stay awake. And I was like, what's that? And she's like, cocaine. And I was like, okay. I wouldn't really know where to get it. She's like, oh, I have it. Just come to my apartment. We'll do something. It'll be easy and then you'll be fine. I was like, oh, okay. Well, she makes it sound so easy and harmless. I might as well. If my mom's doing it, how bad could it be? You know?
How old were you?
I was, like I said, 15.
15?
Yeah.
When was the first time you did coke? How old were you?
Oh, shit. I didn't do coke until I was 20, I think.
Yeah,
late bloomer
experience.
I did it on my high school lunch break.
Pussy.
Did you? I was a rookie. Yeah, I did at my senior year. Somebody's like, come over, and I did.
Oh, it's bad. So I got so the first time I did it, it was a bad experience.
Okay.
Because it was good at first. Like we did it, we had fun. It was like, you know, we were talking, we were sitting in this girl's apartment. She takes me out driving. She taught me how to drive a stick shift high on cocaine for the first time.
Casey Jones.
And then. You know, here's the thing. I did one line, and I thought that one line was going to last forever. We're going to live forever. You know, so that's what I was thinking at the moment. Fame! But what happened was, unfortunately, I was wrong, and it did not. And so I didn't go to sleep in between when that whole thing, which was like, say, 6 to 12 in the afternoon, and then at 12 I go out with my friend for the day, and then I've got like a 4 o'clock call. And I never slept anywhere in between, and I've got to work from 4 to 4. And so then I say to the girl, like, hey, you know what? I have a feeling this stuff might wear off. How long does it take to wear off? She's like, oh, it'll be worn off by the time you go into work. And I'm like, well, I'm going to probably need more than to keep me up. She's like, don't worry, I'll meet you there. I'll give you some more. Well, that was my first lesson in people doing drugs are not very honest. So, yeah, found out the hard way that she was full of it and waited for her to show up.
She didn't show up.
She didn't show up.
Okay.
She flaked on me. She left me hanging.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there like, showing up for work, getting my costume on, like half asleep, like, okay, I got to make it through. She'll be here any minute. It's cool. And I'm like calling her, texting her. I don't think we had text in those days. That's a lie. I was just calling her.
Writing letters.
Yeah. And she didn't show up. Like no
Writing
response, no anything. I'm sending a birdie over to her house. And so she doesn't show up. She leaves me hanging. And it's now like 8:00 at night and we're shooting the very first scene that day, which happens to be, hold for it, wait for it. Yeah, the big truth, justice, and the American way speech scene that everybody remembers. That moment was during this hell. So it was literally at that moment where I'm like, and Joel Schumacher's like, okay, so you're going to come to this spot, you're going to stop here, you're going to pause for 2 seconds, you're going to deliver the first part of the line, then you're going to wait, and Corey's going to clear over here, and then Jameson's going to come over to this point, and then when he stops, you're going to open the magazine, you're going to look at it, you're going to pull it down to right here, and then you're going to look over at the top. I mean, like, all these instructions, I'm like, well, huh?
And
what?
you pulled it.
No, dude.
Oh, you didn't
I
pull
did
it.
not pull it. It was a disastrous meltdown.
Was it clear to anybody that drugs were involved?
Here's what was clear. I'm a guy that's very on my shit all the time. I'm very efficient. I'm very I try to stay, I'm a professional. I study the night before. I get all into my memorization. I come in the next day. I know my stuff backwards and forwards, impeccable. I'm a professional. I don't mess around. But all of a sudden, I couldn't remember one thing to the next that he's telling me to do. And he's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, dude, I just said 3 times, here's the order of the thing. And you just, I say, come to this mark, stop, freeze, turn around, lower the thing, and then say your line. You're going over here, you're walking past your mark, you're not lowering the thing, you're saying your line without even looking at the place you're supposed to look. I'm like, okay, let's do it again. So that happens like 10 times. And eventually Joel Schumacher's like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with you. Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs, Feldman? Is that what's going on here? Like, totally called me out. And I was like, huh? I wish I was on drugs. I wouldn't be so screwed up right now. No. So yeah, that was the problem. I had no drugs. So he knew there was something going on. And he fired me.
And this was at a time when everything was still shot on film. There was no
absolutely.
digital.
Yeah, it was all film.
So to screw up a take was actually kind of expensive at that time.
Very expensive, yeah.
And you said he fired you?
Yeah, he fired me. He fired me right there on the spot. He's like, listen, Feldman, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're fired. You need to get your act together. I can't have this on my set. I don't know what's going on, but you're, coming in all out of it, looking like you're high, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm not high. For like 2 hours. But what happened was they were like, look, the only way we're going to let you continue is if you get some, where's your mom? That was the first question.
Right.
Where's your mom? Why is she not here? Why are you all out of it? Somebody needs to answer for this. And I was like, good luck finding her. She's probably off with some crew member in the bar.
Wow.
Doing blow, getting drunk, getting laid, who knows? And so they couldn't find her. They all did like an APB to try and find my mom. Nobody could find her. They're like, this is a disaster. And then they're like, well, we can't really blame it on the kid if he's got no adult supervision. So we've got to at least give him a chance by like saying, okay, you've got to have like some adult supervision around
right.
you. And then if you still mess up, then we'll fire you for real. So they decided to see, like, is your dad available? Can your dad come down? My dad couldn't come down because he had his talent management company, which was basically like a false management company where it was like the Powers, remember JG Powers or whatever, like where they'd like take your money and do seminars and like they'd pick like 100 people to like, oh yeah, you're the best looking one, so you're gonna get a free photo shoot, but everybody else has got to pay $15,000 for that same photo shoot in an acting class, and maybe one day you'll get an acting part. And that was kind of like his thing. But he had my movie posters up all over the walls, and it was called New Talent Enterprises, and it was like over on the sleazy part of Cahuenga there. And anyway, so he was doing that and he didn't have time to come play babysitter. So he says, no, I'm not available. So they were like, well, who can you get up here? And that we called Marty Weiss. And Marty Weiss was a guy who'd been kidnapping me since I was 11 years old. He was part of the science fiction awards or whatever. It was called the Saturn Awards.
He was your agent?
He was not my agent. He was literally just a stalker, hanger-on dude that basically got into my life because he worked for the Saturn Awards and was trying to give me an award. So he like called me up at comes to find out that he basically gave awards to all of got in touch with all the Steven Spielberg kids. So I thought he was just a big Steven Spielberg fan, big Disney fan. He loved all those kids. He introduced me to another kid that became one of my best friends at the time named Jason Presson, who was in Explorers. I don't know if you remember the movie Explorers with Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix, but yeah, that was a Joe Dante movie, Steven Spielberg movie as well. But anyway, so he became friends with him and then introduced me to him, and he became my best friend up until I met Corey Haim a couple of years later. So from like Gremlins till Lost Boys, this kid Jason Preston was my best friend. So anyway, come to find out that this guy's like molesting everybody. And so he's a pedophile. And then we find out that basically, well, he comes in, it's in, my book and in my movie and whatever. And I don't want to get into the graphic stories, but let's just say that he took advantage of the situation.
Okay. And at that time, this was the set of Lost Boys. So you're 14.
Turning 15.
Turning 15. And so incredibly famously, at the age of 15, you started the emancipation movement.
So what happened was since Marty, it wasn't because Marty was there. It was because I was embarrassed and I was shamed that I went down that road and I did drugs at all because I was so anti-drug normally. Like, why did I do that?
Well, drugs aside, there was financial fuckery going on.
Well, all kinds of shit, yeah. But the bottom line was I was just like, dude, my life sucks right now. I need to try and keep this job because otherwise I'm screwed. This is my only chance of staying away from that abusive household, So especially now that they realize my mom's the bad guy, that's the best news really out of all of this is that I have a chance to get away from my mom because she was really wretched and really awful.
Your parents were together?
They were not together.
Not together.
So that was the point, was if my dad was going to at any point come in and kind of save the day, because at least I knew with him, we'd smoke weed together and he wouldn't kick my ass. You know what I mean? My mom was just psycho, wanted to beat me all the time, wanted to abuse me, wanted to do whatever she could to just
So hard drugs and physical violence or weed and everything's pretty cool.
Right, and he's a musician and probably hit on all my girlfriends, but whatever, sort of thing. So I went to the dad, but that was after we got back from Santa Cruz. So once we got back from Santa Cruz, then my dad says, hey, here's a great idea. Let's get you involved in this thing called Hollywood Kids Say No to Drugs, and you'll be the spokesperson because we know you hate drugs. And I'm like, perfect. So I start doing that. Then he introduces me to pedophile number 2. Actually, I'd already met pedophile number 2, which was Alfie, but he came through the whole because I knew him from being supposedly Bobby Hoffman's son. Bobby Hoffman was the head of casting for Paramount Television and cast me in all of my TV shows growing up as a kid. And many other kids as well. And then he was living with this dude Alfie, and Alfie started doing these underage clubs called Alfie Soda Pop Club. So that's when my mom invited me to go to Alfie's club or whatever, his party with Bobby at their house. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, Alfie's going to come pick you up. So you're very special. You're very lucky because Alfie's going to come pick you up and take you to this party. So Alfie was one, then John. But John comes through my dad. And so my dad over at New Talent is like, hey, I can't be on the set with you during Lost Boys all the time. And I'm really busy and stuff. So I'm going to get you this assistant guy who's basically going to drive you around and be your gopher and be your chaperone and be your whatever. Because again, right, the whole reason Joel Schumacher wanted to get me parental guidance and wanted to make sure that I was set before he kept me on board was to make sure that I didn't get around some flunky who wasn't going to take it seriously and wasn't going to care about my best interests, right? Well, so what does my dad do? I go to my dad's for better care and end up with a new flunky who's also a pedophile. Isn't that ironic? Every time I get swapped to somebody, it's another pedophile. So anyway, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Or are you keeping it in?
Who are you going to tell?
Yeah.
I mean, your parents are the ones that are bringing them into your life, right? And by the way, nothing happened with the Alfie guy until after I was living with my dad. So when I was living with my mom, the only thing that was happening was that Marty Weiss was coming and breaking me out of my house in the middle of the night and taking me out on drives, but he never molested me during that time. He was only kidnapping me and we were having fun together, so it didn't look like anything I would... See, that's the thing. That's how they get you, right? They get your trust by
grooming you.
Right, by being your friend and being like, hey, I'm going to be the cool guy that's going to get you out of this bad situation. So then you trust them.
So how does the emancipation court
So how do we get there? So ironically, it's the guy that was hired by my dad, John Grissom, who is the pedophile, who says, hey, you got to get away from these abusive parents. And they're taking all your money and they're screwing you over. We got to get you out of this situation.
Chalk went up for the pedophile because that was a good call.
Right. So he's like, so we'll get you in. Was it though? Really? Who knows? That's the thing. Because then he also introduced me to cocaine. Because after that, so now that I'm with him, it's like we're hanging out all the time. Like, oh, look at Sam Kinison, all these guys at the Comedy Store. They're like, love you. Let's go hang out with them. And then we walk into their parties and there's giant mounds of cocaine on the table. 15-year-olds should not have been there in the first place. But he walks me in, he's like, hey man, this is a party. And I'm like, cool, it's a party. And then I'm like, but I don't do cocaine. And I resisted it for the first 6 months hanging out with all those guys. And then eventually I just got weak and I was like, well, they look like they're all having fun. And if they're having fun, I guess I should have fun too.
They were having a pretty good time at the Comedy Store.
They were. They were. Yeah. That was before they crossed the imaginary line. So it was all good in the hood.
Sure.
You know?
And is that when Kinison had the house right up the hill from the Comedy Store?
Crest Hill.
That's it.
So we were chilling at Crest Hill. So it was at the Crest Hill house actually where I did my first not the one from my mom, which was the one time, one line, but this was the first time I actually did cocaine. Okay. So John Grissom gives it to me and he's like, oh, you got to try this. Now you got to try crack. Now you got to try heroin. Now you got to try LSD.
Oh, wow.
So every drug that I ever did literally was because of the same dude.
Okay.
How soon after did you start doing heroin?
Oh, 2 years later.
2 years later.
It was a process. But I had to go through my cocaine phase, where I got really into coke for a while. That was, the whole thing lasted 2 years. But, basically, I was really into cocaine for, 6 months to a year. And then was I see it destroying all my friends' lives. I see it destroying my life. I crossed that imaginary line. People are having that talk with me. They're like, you don't see you have a problem. You have a problem. I'm like, what is the problem? I'm staying up for 3-4 days at a time and we're having a great time. No problem. You know? And they're like, no, that's a problem.
Yeah, right. That is the problem.
That pedophile didn't do everything to help, but he was the one who said, you got to get away from your parents.
So I can have more control over you and do what I want with you and put you on drugs so I can completely manipulate and control you.
Understood, but was it
not
that,
like some superhero?
Right. But did he get you set up with some kind of attorney? Because I'm just fascinated by the idea, the idea of
and the attorney. I hope you don't
go
mind.
for it. Because you were the first child star to legally become independent of your parents before, when you're only 15 years old. That's
not the first. I believe Drew did it first.
Oh, Drew Barrymore.
She might have done it first.
Okay.
So we were right neck and neck around the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And what I read about it was that you were a bona fide millionaire at 15 years old, but by the time the court proceedings played out, all they had to show for all of your earnings was $40,000.
You did your fact check. I like it. Very well done. Right?
So
let me tell you how it actually went down.
I was really fascinated to ask this question because to become emancipated from your parents means to become completely independent of them. He did this at the age of 15 and was like, wow, okay, I got no parents. I'm an adult. That's fascinating. And you know what else is fascinating? Being completely independent of having to get in your car and drive anywhere. If you want to get food, if you want to get groceries, if you want to get any household supplies. You know what? Stay put. Do what you gotta do. Leave it to DoorDash, man. This is the best way to get food fresh, everything delivered, and here's a killer deal for you. You download the DoorDash app. You plug in the promo code STEVO. For your first order of over $15, you get 25% off and no delivery fees. Boom. And that's good for a value of up to $10. So go ahead and figure out, what do you want to eat? Maybe something from your favorite restaurant. Let your imagination run wild. Then download the DoorDash app, plug in the promo code STEVO, and like I said, enjoy 25% off of your first order of $15 or more, a value of up to $10, and 0 delivery fees. So get your work done, let it just come to your door, enjoy, and let's try to figure out what's going on with this emancipation business.
So basically what happened was, in order to get emancipated, I had to be on my shit. Like, I had to know what I was doing. I had to be able to, like, say, okay, this is bop, 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 right? Because otherwise they're not going to let you go. They want to see, A, that you know what you're talking about, you know your finances, you know where you're at, and that you're going to be able to be self-sufficient and provide for yourself in the event that they turn over the power of signature to you.
Right.
So basically what happened was I went down to the Producers Pension Health and Welfare, which is where everybody who's an actor, their residuals go, their payment, their, you know, futures, their pension, it's all put into there. So there's an accounting. It's not part of SAG. It's a separate division, separate building altogether.
Were you a producer?
I was not. No. It's the Producers Pension Health and Welfare, meaning the producers have to pay into this pension on the behalf of the actors, right?
Okay.
So there's a certain amount of money that accrues. So they can A, see all the money that you've earned, and then B, see what's left in your accounts, because they're the ones that make sure that, like with the Jackie Coogan law, they have to put like 15% aside from every paycheck.
That keeps coming up. It's crazy. Your parents are only allowed to blow 85% of your money.
Right, exactly. But we're going to make sure you got a few cents left. Don't worry. And that's what is not covered up, right? Because the way my parents did it, which was super slick, because typically like a manager gets 10 to 15%, as you know, right? Well, my parents were both my managers, and they both took 15%.
Wow.
So there's your 30% right there off the top. Then you got 40% to taxes.
I don't know about like literary.
Then you got your business manager, your agent. Your agent takes 10%. Business manager takes 5%. Wait, what's happened? Where there's 15%.
How do they justify 15%? Because they figure they're taking off of work.
You're right. That is a bit too much. Why should those kids earn anything? Screw those kids.
No. Like, why wouldn't it be like?
Why not 100% or like
no?
90?
Of course, it should be. Yeah, the kid should get all the money.
Yeah,
right. It should be 85% to the kid and like 50% to divide between all the managers.
Right.
Because the kid's doing the work, right?
Do they figure because
giving up their childhood, giving up their freedom?
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What's even more crazy? I mean, we could talk about the unfairness of all the money being commissions, but it's just so fascinating to me. A judge grants you emancipation, and so now you're 15 years old, but you are not legally an adult.
Right.
So it's waiving the idea of minor.
So here's what happens. So we go to the court, right, and I prove. Okay, so this is where that comes in. We go to Producers Pension Health and Welfare. They show me you have earned $1 million to this point. At 14 and a half, this is where you're at. You've earned $1 million. However, here's what's in your account right now, and that's where the $40,000
right. I mean, you got to figure if you've earned $1 million, then that puts you in a pretty high tax bracket. So you could almost ballpark it at 50% goes to taxes.
So
it's down to $500.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
So there's fuckery going on, but it wasn't necessarily like as crazy as $1 million down to
40,000.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Out of $1 million, bro.
Explain to a 15-year-old like taxes. Like, look, they take out half because
I'm with you. It's bad.
Because what? That's 4%.
Right.
Or is it even less?
And for, you know what strikes me?
Correct.
Yeah.
Given your resume at that time, you know, like with Goonies, Gremlins, Lost Boys, like Friday the 13th, fucking all the Bad News Bears,
Bad News Bear, all of it. Mork and Mindy with Robin Williams, all of it.
It feels pretty shocking that you would only have earned $1 million at that point.
Well, yeah, because they weren't paying people like they were these days.
Right, like there was no back end, there was nothing.
No.
Stand
and
by
even,
Me.
Let me tell you something. Do you know what I got paid? I'll tell everybody. I got paid for Goonies $40,000.
It was that SAG scale for a principal role.
Yeah, because we were on it for 6 months.
And all these
years. That's $40,000 for 6 months.
Right, and all these years later.
That's crazy.
Right, that's like slave labor if you think about it.
And we're almost 40 years later, and now SAG scale for that kind of role is $65,000.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's a lot better. But that said, if you do one movie, you get jumped up to like the $1 million payday bracket. You know what I mean? Like you do one movie that's successful, you're getting an offer for $1 million.
Yeah, the kids in Spider-Man
I did 15
are doing
number one films and was still getting like, here, license to drive. How about $100,000?
Wow.
And I'm like, what? It's my name over the damn title. And that's the kind of money we were making. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Could you negotiate? Were you like told not to do that? Or I mean, what do you?
My agents were like William Morris at the time, so yeah, they probably should have made sure that didn't happen, right? You would think.
Here's a question I was dying to ask you because, I'm known for all the Jackass stuff.
You are.
But
No, I'm just joking.
right. But I've since really like established myself in the comedy world doing stand-up. And I'm still not known as a stand-up comedian, but I've been like way more successful in stand-up comedy from a financial perspective. I've made way more money doing stand-up comedy than I ever made from Jackass.
Exactly.
And so
thank you. So that's why a lot of, like, when he said to me, like, oh, in the 80s when you were, big or whatever, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, because in the 80s, the way I look at it was I was a slave. I wasn't making much money. I didn't get much play from girls because I was shy and intimidated and awkward. So, like, the 80s to me were not some great glory days, you know what I mean? It was more like I was a slave kid that was just basically trying to get away from the abusers, trying to get away from the parents, trying to get away from everybody that was trying to hold me down. And then I ended up a drug addict, then I ended up in jail, then I ended up in rehab. So it wasn't really until the 90s that I started even living my life. Like, quite honestly, like 91, 92, that's when I started feeling like a human being and actually caring about myself and loving myself and wanting to like self-heal and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was from that point on that my life started, I think.
I mean, you were still like on some pretty hard drugs until at least 95, right?
No, man.
Oh, no?
No. Sober.
Wow, okay.
I was sober in 89.
Wow.
And how old are you then? You're like 20 or something?
I was 18.
18.
And you've got some correcting to do on Wikipedia.
Oh, dude, Wikipedia is whacked. Don't get me started.
Right. I mean,
No. Get me started. Let me tell you about this. Okay? Let's talk. Let's be real.
I've got some shit on Wikipedia.
I'm on media blackout. Do you know what media blackout means?
I don't know what that
means. It means that there's actually people out there that are working on a 24-hour basis to discredit and defame me and change the facts of life. So there, Wikipedia is supposed to be an open forum where anybody user-friendly can go in there and edit whatever they want, right? Which leaves you open to the truth. It also leaves you open to lies.
Right.
That's what you would think. But if me or anybody on my team tries to go into Wikipedia, you can try it right now, and you try to edit something, it'll stick for about 2 minutes, and then it goes back and reverts to whatever the bullshit was that was there. Okay, then, like, if it's me and I try it, say, like, multiple times, 2 or 3 times, all of a sudden I get a notice up that says I'm blocked. My IP address is blocked for the next 2 years.
Wow.
And
I didn't know
anybody
that it was
that tries
easy to even try to change Wikipedia.
No,
I remember being on a cocaine
You should
bender one
be
time.
able to. You should be able to. The way that whole program is set up, the way that the website works, is it's a user-friendly basis, which means that anybody with a computer and any basic knowledge of HTML can get in there and edit it and show the links that they need to show the truth. And like it should all back up because somebody's got to go through it and go like, oh, this makes sense. This points to this da 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 da. But they have some kind of system on mine, maybe yours, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how truthful yours is or off yours is.
I mean, it's just like, it says I've been married twice and I've actually never been married.
Right.
So
how are they allowed to do that, though? Isn't that like
here's
libel?
The thing. Yeah, good question, right? Especially when they're purposefully blocking your IP address or anybody associated with you. So Wikimedia is the company that owns Wikipedia, and we're probably going to have to send them some very serious letters from our lawyers because this is not acceptable. They're out there lying about me. Everything on Wikipedia is BS.
What's the malicious lie?
The malicious lie is like you just said. There's, they say that I wasn't really sober, or they say like one of the things says that I went on the Today Show in October, and then 2 months later I was arrested in Louisiana. Like da 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 da. Let me tell you something. I was never arrested in Louisiana.
Right. That was
newsflash. I was not arrested. Members of my band were arrested
and that was only
for having weed and a half a Xanax pill.
Yeah.
Okay. Not my Xanax pill, not my weed. I wasn't arrested. Let's just be real. So the bottom line is there's people out there maliciously, intentionally trying to make me sound like a liar, trying to change my credibility. Okay? Because obviously, if I'm lying about this or if I'm lying about that, then those really important big stories that I told in my documentary must not be true because obviously I'm a liar.
All right.
Do you know who's telling these lies, or is it just anonymous?
It's connected to the debunking of my truth. So I put out a documentary. You know about the documentary. I mean, I guess, or maybe not, but
I didn't know about it until I got ready to meet you today.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So where's this documentary available?
It's not anymore.
Oh, it's not.
So what happened was I spent $1.3 million making this film. We premiered it at the Directors Guild. There was 700 people there, sold out audience, standing room only, amazing, incredible. And the night we get there, we start the film, and it was streaming globally because I was the first person actually ever to do a live global streaming VOD premiere.
And people had to pay to stream
Pay-per-view, right.
Was it successful?
It would have been had we not gotten hacked and pirated.
Okay.
Okay, so as the film started, all of a sudden the thing froze, and people all over the world who paid money to see the film could not see it because there was an interruption of service. It's called a DDoS server attack. Okay. So we got a DDoS server attack that shut down the film, shut down the stream. They actually copied it. They stole the stream. They copied the script. And then they created a subsidiary website that was like a copycat website that went up literally live the moment our stream came down. And they started selling tickets for $30 versus us who were charging $20 for the ticket. So they're taking the same movie, same stream, same script. So it looks like the same website. They even pushed it up in the Google search. So mine was mytruthdoc.com. Theirs was mytruthdocs.com. They put up a fake website the same exact time that our premiere is happening.
When they shut down yours, did they direct all of your traffic to their page?
Correct.
So they would have had to have been able to edit your page as well, but I guess they hacked it.
So they hacked it. They stole the stream. They copied the script.
Wow.
And they were able to build another prototype of a website that looked exactly like ours that went live the moment that ours went down.
So by the virtue.
And then somehow the media just never talked about it. Because the next day was COVID, so nobody wanted to talk about it. And so I've never been on any talk shows. The news won't have me on. That's why I say media blackout, because all the mainstream media has prevented me from coming forth and talking about this story. Given
that these hackers actually monetized it, they took money, isn't it possible to follow that money trail and get to these people who committed the copyright?
Yeah, you'd need a lot of expensive lawyers and a lot of investigators.
Were you able to get any sense of how many buys they did?
Well, I have no idea how many tickets they sold for their, fake, but I know that it was up for 3 months before we even knew about it. I found it by accident. Or actually, my director, the guy who directed the film, Brian Herzlinger, texts me one day and he goes, "Hey, do you know about this? You just did a post for our movie that goes to a different website." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it was like an accidental thing. Like I put my truths instead of my truth by accident, and you click on it and it's an actual website, but it's not our website. And he's like, "Yeah, dude, that's an entirely different website. That's not our website." I was like, "Holy shit."
And it was and
they were selling the tickets.
So that was multiple different websites.
Okay, so there was that one. That was the main thing, how they were pulling the money out. But the way they liquidated the movie and made it worthless was by putting it out for free all over YouTube. So they put out about 200 free links on YouTube. The first one got 250,000 views before YouTube would take it down. And we were sending them letters for weeks and they wouldn't listen because we didn't have the exact right trademark information or the exact copyright information or whatever. And they wanted everything by the book before they would even listen to us that this is our film. Even though I paid for it, even though it's my name on it, I produced it, it's my lawyer hitting you up. But if you don't have the exact paperwork, they're not going to listen.
That makes me glad that we got in business with that anti-piracy company before putting out Gnarly.
Yeah.
We spent like $6,000 to get this anti-piracy company to stamp whatever. Rich, if anywhere my shit shows up, it's gonna be flag
trademark type thing.
Yeah, and
That's
it's going to
cool.
prevent it from showing up on YouTube.
I was so naive, man. I had no idea. I thought hey, I found a foolproof way because look, I put out a book. They edited my story. I put out a film on the Lifetime Network that was a pretty good film that I helped produce. They edited and changed the story, even as far as changing the scenes to make it not what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? So everything kept getting changed and edited. How are you going to get the truth out? Everybody kept saying, you got to get the truth out. You got to get the truth out. Fine. How do I do this so that nobody is controlling the narrative but me? Right? Well, the only way that you can possibly do that is to put it out in a documentary format. But even then, you've got to get your E&O lawyers to approve everything to make sure you don't get sued, right? You can't put out anything that's above and beyond, and you have to work really, really, really hard to prove that everything is corroborated. There's not one thing in that movie that wasn't corroborated by multiple people.
It sounded like that. Those were some pretty fiery
allegations. Right. Yeah.
Well, but I'm confused why it's.
to be clear,
where is
the
it
name
now?
of the documentary was My Truth, The Rape of Two Corys.
Right. Exactly.
And even saying the word rape on YouTube, I think gets you.
Have you not talked about it since then?
I have not talked about it.
This is the first time.
But so
you said that this documentary is not available. But so did you ultimately get it all taken down from YouTube?
Yeah, so we got them finally taken down. But so 250,000 views at $20 a pop. How much money is that?
250,000 views at $20
$5
a pop. $5 million?
More. Try 50 million.
Wait, 250?
50 million.
I'm bad at math.
250,000 views at $20 a pop.
It's 50 million.
I think it's 5.
It's 5 million.
20 divided by 4.
Yeah, it's because
divided by 250 though.
Well, but it's a quarter million.
250 times 2 is 500,000.
Maybe I'm good at
And then
math.
you add 1 0 because it's a 20, so it's 5 million.
I don't think so.
Maybe that's just one of the links, and then you.
No, whatever. No, that was definitely just one of the links. But the point is, altogether, it came out to $80 million.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a lucrative business play.
So do you have the?
it wasn't, and we weren't doing it for that. At the end of the day, we just wanted to get the truth out. But I had bills I have to pay back. I have people that a whole crew that was working on spec. That was looking forward to it doing well and getting paid. And then on top of it, what we could have done with the profits would have been unbelievable. I'm not good at math either, by the way, so I could totally be
Dude,
I don't even know, but we should pull out a calculator. Somebody already has. Don't worry.
easy.
Somebody's sitting there like, you're an asshole.
Yeah, on the comments.
Of course, you're an asshole. You don't know how to do math. Go bite yourself.
It brings me back to the question I wanted to ask, which is for your prolific film career and the staggering success that you had in it. I would believe that it's your music career that's been more financially rewarding for you.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been the last 5 years that my music luckily blew up. And again, this was, I believe, just an attempt to try and knock me down and make me look like a jackass. Sorry for the expression.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, because we did the Today Show, which was obviously a setup. I mean, every single media outlet at the exact same moment, the second we walked off stage, was like, what was that? What was that bizarre, strange performance? Corey Feldman really blew the, donkey or whatever. It was terrible. What was he thinking? And it was all across the board. Everybody had the exact same headline. You're telling me that there's not one single media outlet that saw it a little bit differently or had a different perspective or wrote maybe a few different words? No, it was the exact same language across the board at the same time. Isn't that miraculous?
Who'd you piss off?
Exactly. So
do you think
a bunch of pedophiles that are very powerful. That too.
Do you think that in that case, because there was so much widespread, coverage of this performance, which was critically panned, just the fact that there was that much coverage, do you think inadvertently
it made it go through the roof?
Right.
First of all, it was the most, because of what they did, it backfired. It was the most viewed performance in the Today Show history. That's what she said. So Tamra Hall, said it on live TV. She goes, "This is the most viewed performance in the TodayShow.com ever." Boom.
Right.
That was
I believe it.
Subscribe to the notion that there's no such thing as bad publicity in this case.
Well, there isn't, as long as they're writing about you or talking about you, then you're in good shape. So that's why what they're doing to me now is even worse, because they won't even have me on to explain what's been going on. They won't even have me on to explain what happened to my film. We're talking about $100 million worth of, liquid corruption that just happened. Tax evasion. Who's paying the taxes on all that money that went through those fingertips?
Yeah.
Where's all that advertising money? All that,
If you can't trace down the people and the money for a copyright claim.
And not only that, but they were making DVDs. They literally had DVDs with the packaging, with the artwork, with everything, and you're like, what
presumably, presumably the documentary, even though you didn't make any money off of it,
right?
Some people made money off it, and plenty of people saw it. So how is the documentary critically reviewed?
Oh, amazingly.
Okay.
Amazingly. Yeah, I mean, like anybody that's giving an honest review of it, like, okay, so what happened was they tried to act like it didn't happen at all. Like, I did actually read news stories the next morning that said it was all a lie, Corey was scamming his fans, there was no movie. Fortunately, what they didn't expect is they didn't expect that I would have two separate copies. So we had the copy that was streaming for the whole world to see, and then we had a separate copy that was the premiere copy at the DGA. So I actually stopped the film 15 minutes in and said, look guys, I don't know if I should finish the movie because it's been hacked online and it's not really fair to all the people who paid to not get to see the movie at the same time as you. So I was thinking about not even playing the rest of it at the premiere and coming back and doing it a separate day once we got it all worked out. And it was actually a bunch of actors who rushed the stage, like Roseanne Arquette was one of them. And she was the most vocal. And she got to the front of the stage and said, Corey, you need to do this now. She's like, do not back down. She goes, that's what they want. They want you to stop the film. They want you to not play it. She said, but if you do this, you're never going to get all of us back here again. You're never going to get a whole premiere full of people.
Right, okay.
Like, it's never going to happen. And I was like, you know what? She's right. And so because of that, I continued the film and I played the whole movie out. And so the next day, you added in Rolling Stone, LA Times, Entertainment Weekly. Everybody reviewed the movie and said it was a good movie and we did the thing, But then everybody that wasn't in the room tried to say that the movie never played. There was no movie. There was no there. It was a nothing burger, blah, 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 blah.
So for people who are listening to this and they're just dying to see this movie, are you really telling them that it's not available for them?
It can't because, number one, I had to pull it. I had to pull it because of the safety of my life and my family. There was 2 attempts on my life leading up to this, which are documented in the movie. The LAPD, for whatever reason, will not give us the video footage to prove that I was actually attacked because people tried to say that the attack never happened. That's the way they spun it. The LAPD officer, for whatever reason, I have video footage of them photographing the wound and sizing the scar and the laceration, right? They're literally like sizing it and taking pictures of it in the hospital room.
They said that
they turned around and said there was no puncture wound.
Yeah. Wow.
Somebody tried to stab you in the back of the neck?
In the side. It was very tiny. It was they literally, it was a godsend. I don't know how, I can't explain it, but they missed. So they didn't get very far. They just got like the very tip of the knife into me. So I thought it was like maybe a needle because I couldn't figure it out.
I remember the story being that you thought it was somebody was trying to give you
hypodermic needle. Yeah, I didn't know. But then later on, when I was showing the jacket that I got stabbed into the cops, we saw a slit this big. So you know that it was a knife because there was a slit in the jacket. Okay. So anyway, so I went and filed a subpoena to LAPD for the Freedom of Information Act and said, I know you guys have the footage. You showed me the footage. You can't see what they're doing, but you can easily see that they break into my car and they reach in and they do something, right?
Right.
Give me that footage for my documentary.
Where did this attack take place?
On Ventura Boulevard.
And was it? And what was the
at night?
It was just random. You were there.
It wasn't random.
Oh, well,
they followed me. They followed
Okay.
me from where I was eating.
But it wasn't at like the screening of your movie or.
No.
Right.
I was having dinner actually with the director and my friend Jameson Newlander, who played the other Frog Brother, and we were actually discussing, and I was showing them what I call my Bible of evidence, and I was showing them everything, telling them everything that had happened up to that point, and why I felt it was necessary to make this documentary, asking Brian if he was interested in, being a part of it. And honestly, he's sitting there looking at me like, is this guy lost his mind? Like, maybe he's gone crazy. This is like over the time. He didn't believe any of it until he saw what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I left there that night and I got followed and all this shit went down and I ended up in the hospital the next day.
So the attack happened while you were making the documentary.
Before we made the documentary.
Before.
Right.
So then the documentary came out. You released it.
Right.
Since it's been released, was there
we've
other
had things
threats
like-
or something that makes you want to retract that and not leave it out?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's a constant nonstop barrage on Twitter, on social media. They're constantly gaslighting me. They're trying to accuse me of things that I never did. Basically what happened was they sent some spies into my life, which are the girls that were part of my Angel tour. A couple of the musicians were not actual musicians. They were spies that were put into my life to cause mayhem and destruction.
They're called the honeypot?
Crazy, yeah, basically. Same kind of deal. So these girls were put in there to basically cause mayhem and disarray. And then when I fired them because of the mayhem and disarray, they turned around and made false allegations about me, which were investigated by LAPD, and I was cleared of those false allegations. Yet they keep throwing them out there and they keep adding names to the list. Like, oh, there's like 10 girls who've come forward. There's no 10 girls, but they pretend that there's these fake names. So it's 3 girls that were sent into my tour bus basically, and we know who sent them there, and they were put there on purpose to make me look bad and then make false allegations. But then they start adding names of like other people that either we know, some of the names we don't even know who they are. We've never even met these people, and they just make these names and they basically put a list out there and they put it under false allegations. And it's tied to, for a while it was actually tied to this girl named Mindy who is running to be a politician, who claimed that she knew all this stuff about me. Like, I'd never even spent more than maybe like 2 nights with her and nothing happened, and like basically she was there as a date. We went on a date, but she was gonna maybe be part of my Angel thing, and then I just decided against it. She just didn't have the right vibe, and I wasn't into it, and that never went forward. So she was like,
so
okay,
when were the
I'll get back
spies
to them.
sent into your tour bus?
Well, basically, the tour bus itself, I mean, I don't even know how much of this I should say. God.
I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Let's just say this, that
what
there's...
kind of tour bus was it?
It was a very nice one. We had a lot of success right away. We did the Today Show. It was very successful with the Angels and the Angel Band and all that. But unfortunately, the girls that we used, they were good for like the one song, which was a fairly easy song, but they weren't capable of like learning 30 songs. They just didn't have that kind of skill. So we needed more skilled girls.
Because they were spies?
No.
Oh, this was old,
just
yeah.
right. Strictly professionally, we needed better skilled girls, right? We needed girls that really knew what they were doing, because I have a very wide array of music, and we do everything from like EDM to rock to hip hop. I mean, it's kind of all over the map. So you really have to be very versatile as a musician to be able to pull it all off. So because of that, we felt like we needed some, kind of better talent to be the touring talent. And so what we did is we threw an open audition. So open casting call, and we did it over Facebook. So I start getting hit up by like girls from all over the country, oh yeah, check out my reel, check out this, check out that. So we brought in, this girl, like she said she was like a hippie. She was like a gypsy, rather, not a hippie, but a gypsy traveling from like town to town. And she just happened to be in town and let me come by with my audition, da-da-da-da-da. So she came over, she auditioned, we hired her. She had no place to stay, so we let her stay at our house. And then after she was there for a little while, she starts like saying that, she's a stripper, which we didn't know. And she wanted to like still make money because we weren't letting her strip, because obviously we didn't want that kind of a look around our branding. And she's like, no, just let me do like cam stuff from inside the house. And I'm like, hell no, what are you, crazy? I'm not going to let that kind of thing be going on in my house. Like, are you nuts? So she didn't like the fact that I told her no, and I thought that was the reason why she was doing all this terrible stuff. I had no idea that it was for a darker reason, which was that she was sent there on purpose. So we found that out based on the fact that she was making phone calls and text messages to that person throughout the tour. We found out that the tour bus driver was his personal tour bus driver. We found out that we were on his actual tour bus, which we paid for, but yeah, we got a really good deal. Let's just say that much. The way we ended up on that bus is because they made the best offer out of all the different buses we were looking at.
What I'm trying to get a sense of is, with all the craziness surrounding the movie and the the controversy and everything, does that just fuel the success of the music?
It would if people knew that the music was coming out. Here's the problem right now is we're having a very hard time marketing this new album. We've got this beautiful box set and this beautiful new album and a great new single, but the problem is when mainstream media isn't supporting you and you're not popping up everywhere. Like when we were, we did the Today Show, we had the top 40 song on the Billboard charts.
Wow.
And it was everywhere. Like People Magazine, Rolling Stone, Billboard, everybody broke the story about Corey's new album's coming out. So we put out a press release, new album's coming out. Nobody's picking it up. It's crickets.
So let's see the box.
If they don't support you, how are you going to get a hit, right? So it's all based on you now, Steve-O. You're the lifeline.
So is this on Spotify?
This isn't finished yet. So this is just look at the artwork, but yeah.
Wow.
And it actually has the world's first ever hologram on a box set. So we've never had this kind of technology before in history, but I am the first artist, I believe, to pop up in a hologram on top of my own box and dance across the top of it.
So you're going to pop up here?
Am I able to open this?
You can open, but the CDs aren't there yet because it's not finished. Actually, we get them tomorrow. So if we'd done this interview one day later, I could have given you the CD wallet. But you can see some of the items inside. There's the 22 magazine, which was specially made just for this.
Wow.
And that features a lot of the artists who are part of the box, from Don Dawkin to Michael Damian, Mickey Thomas, a lot of 80s dudes, because this box set basically covers from 1986 to 1994. Plus, we have a brand new album. So the brand new album is a sequel. The first album was called Love Left, and the sequel is called Love Left 2, Army with Love. So the first album came out in 1994. We started recording it. Actually, the very first song was while I was working on Lost Boys, living in my dad's apartment, and in the music video Runaway, which is part of the box set and also available for free on my YouTube channel right now, you can see the two guys that molested me dancing behind me in my dad's apartment at 15 years old. Because those were my friends. Those were the guys I was hanging out with.
How do they find the YouTube channel?
You can just go to Corey Feldman YouTube. Just type in, Corey Feldman channel on YouTube.
YouTube.com/Corey Feldman.
That's it, yeah. Or Corey Feldman 2, I think you have to write in the 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you started your band in 94.
No, I started in 86.
Oh,
so as I was saying, the very first video was while we were shooting Lost Boys. Look, we got these cool sunglasses.
Nice. How many of the musicians are the same from the original?
Well, the great thing about this is we got in touch with everybody. The very first song I wrote was called Runaway, ironically, and it was about a 15-year-old kid who's getting abused at home and is looking for some kind of salvation. So he goes and he runs away and he gets on the streets and he gets caught up in a sex trafficking ring where they start feeding him crack. Now, this was all a premonition because I had not done drugs yet.
Wow.
I was an innocent kid. I'm working on Lost Boys, living in my dad's apartment, and all of a sudden, boom, it all happened. So literally, I tried to run away, which was me getting emancipated, and then I got, the crack in my face and all of that stuff. So it all kind of played out exactly the way that I foresaw it, including having the two pedophiles in the music video with me dancing around in the living room. So it's really bizarre. But, I felt like instead of running from it, I got to put it out there because that was how it all started. So this is a vinyl EP, and it's like an 8-song teaser. So that came out about 3-4 months ago, which that sold really well because we did it as a fundraising thing where basically people had to buy them to press them. So we sold all of them in advance.
So it was like a pre-sale.
Pre-order,
nice.
yeah.
I love the artwork.
Thank you.
On both of these, the box set and the vinyl.
It's a picture disc, so it's actually really badass. The disc itself is beautiful.
And how do people get themselves this?
If they are interested in any of the above, they can go to my website, CoreyFeldman.net, and they can buy whatever they want there.
Is anything autographed on there?
If they want it autographed, we'll autograph
I want to get one. I'm going to get one of those autographs.
Oh, look at you. Thank you. I appreciate the support.
He really does. I
mean, that means a lot to me.
He's clean and sober.
Nice.
He bought...
Yes.
He bought weed yesterday to support Jaleel White.
Oh, God.
And he made me smell it.
That's terrible.
It smelled so good.
Yeah. I smoked it last night. It was great.
You smoked it last night?
I'll give it a record. I'll give it a review. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean,
Did you microdose too?
No, I just went straight, so I had a pure
those magic
review.
mushrooms from tour?
I still have them. Yeah, I haven't used them yet.
Some guy on tour like just gave us these like a shitload of magic mushrooms.
Are
And
they
he's like,
real?
They gave it him.
They're real.
They had
And
nothing to do
Scott,
with it.
because, you know.
I was like, I don't. The guy's like naming off all these
Okay.
strains, and I'm like,
Isn't that beautiful?
No, but Scott's like,
It's a
why don't you just
beautiful
eat
word,
all
right?
those right now? Like,
Okay.
you always expect me to do drugs how you
They're
used
busy
to
talking
do
about drugs. No time for promo here.
CoreyFeldman.net.
Yes.
CoreyFeldman.net is where you get all things Corey Feldman, including the Love Returns EP.
That's
and
right. And the Love
box
Left
set.
2.1 box set, which features both my brand new album, Love Left 2 Army with Love, and the remix remaster of the original album, and 18 never released songs from 1986 to 1994, and 4 hours worth of video footage, including a brand new documentary, not this documentary that we were
Okay.
talking about, but a music documentary, which is kind of like more
There
like
you
a behind
go.
the music, which shows how it all started with my music career, when I started recording, when I started performing, when like how it all got to this point.
Yeah.
And then also the making of the actual box set and the new album. So it's pretty cool.
So that's a very comprehensive box set which covers your entire music career.
Not entire, only 86 to 94. So
Okay.
that's the whole idea, is the starting,
got it,
the
got it,
beginning
got
of
it,
the
got
music
it, got
career.
it.
So it's like an
So
80s,
it's like Hot
early
Rocks
90s
for
thing.
the Rolling Stones, the first one.
Exactly. And then the brand new album, so that brings it up to speed. But everything in between, all 5 albums that happen in between, are not represented.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you touring?
We plan to, we hope to, but I need to get a new booking
You need to get a
agent.
new tour bus.
A new tour bus for sure.
he's got a guy.
Exactly.
He's got a guy.
Talk
Do
to
you?
Steve,
Actually,
yeah.
do you guys have your own bus? Do you
I
have your own bus?
just
we might be able to rent it from
I
you.
just bought a new bus. Yeah.
Nice.
But
Do
I
you
went
rent it out to friends?
I sure could. I went the RV route, not like the traditional tour bus.
Okay.
I
did
like
that too. We did that on one of our tours.
Did you consider that a mistake?
That was my first full bus tour.
Yeah.
So that was the first. No, wait, that was my second full bus tour. I'm lying. I did one on the Last Truth Movement tour. For the Last Truth Movement album, we had a big bus that was beautiful, and that was very nice and very convenient. But that said, I did a really nice RV tour as I think the second Angelic tour, so like the mini tour. And we got like this like 35-foot Winnie type thing. But it was like, it had like the extenders that come out.
Yeah, the slides.
Yeah, and it was pretty dope too, because the way that it was outfitted, like the extender would pop out, and like when you had to do that when you were only parked, like you couldn't
Sure,
do
of
that while
course.
you were driving. But the thing is that like when it went back in, it shut off a wall, and inside those walls there were sleepers. So like it was great if you had it open because you had a
Right.
little area to chill. But as soon as it closed, you were basically locked in. And you couldn't get out of your sleeper until like we opened it back up again, which means if there was like a bad accident, that's like super dangerous.
Please tell me that's not the next one.
Talk about a fire hazard.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Scott's nightmare.
I did way better by you, bro.
Dude.
I hooked you up.
Bro, I'll like come into Steve's like room in the RV, and he's looking at like a RV video that has like 40 views. He's like, dude, look at this thing, and he's like showing everybody.
Yeah.
He's obsessed.
Was it cool though?
It's very fucking cool.
I mean, it's cool
Is it
as like
like
seeing a
Rockstar or
fucking
what?
somebody build trains, you know? Like,
Oh come on! No, but look, if you got like a shower, you're doing really good.
I mean, it's
You know,
epic.
if you got
Oh,
like
yeah.
a little kitchenette. you're
Dude, the
doing
one I
really
got
good.
has a dishwasher, a washer, dryer.
That's what I'm talking
fucking
about. That's
Sleeps
what I'm
up to
talking-
9 people.
See, that's what I'm saying.
he'll go check
Yeah,
out the
dude.
RVs, and he knows more about it than the people
And the
selling
best part
it.
is you don't have to pay the damn driver. I mean, especially if they're
Yeah.
crooked and they're there to
Well,
just
I mean, we
cause
are-
problems.
No, we're
but-
hiring a driver.
anyway. So we
Oh, you
will
are?
Be, yeah, we will be paying a driver.
No, I was see when we were doing our mini tour, I was driving part of the time.
Ah, yeah.
we
dude.
And
were
that's
driving.
actually how I got pulled over and the whole Louisiana thing happened.
Oh,
See,
shit.
if it
you
had
were
been a bus
driving.
driver, then they wouldn't have even been able to put my name in the paper. But because I was the one that got pulled over, and then we had to take it down to the police station because I was supposedly driving on a suspended license, which I wasn't aware of because we had just rented the damn thing and used my own insurance and my own driver's license like a week and a half before. But somehow, like, I guess I forgot to pay something and it popped up right during that little period of time. So all of a sudden now it's like, whoops, bad timing. I guess my license is suspended, and this is how I found out. So we get down to the police station. They couldn't charge me with anything because I didn't do anything wrong other than driving with a suspended license, which quite honestly should have just been a warning because it was within 30 days. And
But
within
that
30
will
days, it's
nullify-
supposed to technically be a warning.
It's Louisiana.
That will
Right.
nullify the insurance. Now you're driving without insurance, and I think there's registration issues as well. So like,
But they didn't say all that. They
Right.
didn't, yeah, and like I said, I was never arrested. So they
Everything-
basically looked at it and they went, yeah, he's right. This is probably more than we should do. So instead,
sounds like
let's
you
just
got-
go
you
sell
got-
this story to the press and tell everybody he got arrested for drugs.
all right. I mean, hey, press is good, or it can be.
That was not good press. And Wikipedia can suck my, you know
Good.
what.
Good. So we're hoping to get back on tour soon.
Yes, that would be the goal for next year.
But there are no dates as yet.
Not yet.
And the box set is available for pre-order.
It's available for pre-order right now at CoreyFeldman.net, and you can come. I would love if you guys can make it out to my record release party because the album actually comes out and the box set comes out on January 12th, 22.
Ooh, we're on tour.
We'll be on the road.
Yeah, we're on tour.
That's
But dude, I would
amazing.
love that.
Yeah.
I would
Awesome.
absolutely love that.
What are you doing?
And
What are you doing?
it's a comedy tour.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
we leave that for Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
We leave that day for Kalamazoo.
Really? Is there a way
Yeah.
you can push it back, Kalamazoo?
Nah, we got Kalamazoo. We got on the 13th, so we got to fly out the day before.
And is that the place where they all use those little things that go ding 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 ding? Kazoos? Like, it's Kalamazoo.
No, but dude, I would absolutely love to support you, and I particularly, you know, I have a soft spot in my heart for anybody who's known for one thing who has ventured out into another thing and been
Got
successful.
to recreate it. We got to
Yeah.
rebuild ourselves. We can't
Right.
just. Here's the thing, you know. We can't control the world. We can't control what happens. So all we can do is try our best to like reinvent ourselves
Right.
and try and keep up with the Joneses, right?
Sure.
And especially when they try to put you in that box. You know, they love to put you in that
Yeah.
box and say, this is who this is and this is how they're going to always be and that's the way it is. And it's like, no, man, I'm a human being and I evolve. You evolve. We all
Right.
evolve, right? We
And
have
I
to have
think
the
you-
ability and the freedom to evolve.
From what I understand too, your music has like a really dedicated, like hardcore fan base.
Absolutely. Yeah. My fans love the stuff. And you know what? I mean, I'm very grateful and very, like, I love my fans. I love them to death. They're everything to me. But I do it because I love it.
Sure.
You know, at the end of the day, it's a passion.
Right.
And I have really good taste in music. I'm friends with some of the greatest rock stars and entertainers in history, which means basically I try to soak up everything I can
Good.
through those relationships. I go into the studio with them. I learn from them. And I try to, you know, bring that into my work. So I take my work very seriously when it comes to music,
As you should.
but I don't take myself too seriously because why?
That's the
why
way.
should
That's the way
I?
to
Why
be.
would I?
You mentioned that you were on Instagram Live. So
Yeah.
so what's your Instagram?
It's CDog22.
CDog22. I'm glad
double
I asked.
G, man. CDO double G. You know what's up.
CDO double G22.
That's right. Snoop Dogg was on the Go For It single, you know, my last single.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, I did
Last
not
go
know that,
around,
dude.
I
That's
should say.
epic. So, is there anything else that we can plug? We got your social
Well,
media.
let's see. We
we've
got,
your-
Twitter, which has been hijacked by thieves. So, you know, good
Twitter's
luck
very
on
hackable, it seems, or
Yeah.
it has been in the past. Now they've
It
got their
still is.
two-step.
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
now that we got Jack Dorsey out, everything's going to change, right?
Right.
We'll see. No, it's
So-
not about hackable. It's about there's stuff. Like I said, this stuff is bigger than we all like to think, and there are powers that be that are in control of our lives beyond what we would like to
I
believe.
believe it.
And it is very abundantly clear when you are on a platform like Twitter because they do things like they allow people who are blocked from me to jump into my thread, into my timeline and post something there, like a link to some BS article that's not true or, you know, full of lies. So how do they do that? How are they allowed to do that? And then when I report them, instead of them getting taken down, I get a letter back that says, we do not see how they have broken any of our Twitter safety violations. And you're like, really? What kind of Twitter safety violations do you have to do to actually get taken down?
So
then?
we won't promote your Twitter.
Yeah, no, screw Twitter.
Forget about the Twitter.
Yeah.
We like Instagram. It's CDog22.
That's right.
All things Corey Feldman live at CoreyFeldman.net.
You got it. And you can still buy my burnt ears. You know, I've got these like burnt ears from the movie Stand By Me. We made a replica, and it's available at cfnftandme.com. So you can get that too.
So there's an NFT of burnt ears.
Yeah. We did an NFT of my burnt ear from Stand By Me. We did like a whole hybrid auction thing, and then, well, lo and behold, that got hacked, and unfortunately they froze the bid button for 12 hours, making it impossible for the number to go up, and we got stuck with a $3,700 sale.
Of one ETH?
That would be about 1 ETH,
Yeah, I did an NFT, and I only got 1 ETH.
Yeah, but was yours because of corruption and scandal, or was it because
I was like, I wish I could say that.
It went on for 1 ETH, and then someone bought it, and then someone else upbid like 1.101, or it was like that.
Yeah,
so.
no, ours was like really hot and heavy. Like everybody was bidding for the first 12 hours, and then all of a sudden it just stuck, and it wasn't changing, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So I like hit the people up who were running it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a blunt brute force attack. Where I guess they had made 8,000 attempts to get into the server so that they could shut it down entirely, but they weren't able to do that. They were only able to freeze the bid button, preventing people from bidding.
But we have more
awesome.
NFTs.
It's
More
awesome.
NFTs available.
That's the plan.
And more NFTs are available.
Are you on OpenSea?
I don't know about OpenSea, but is that your gallery?
Well, that's where we were running it through. But right now we only have 2 NFTs. We've only made 2 so far under my deal with Cosmic Wire. We're supposed to be making a lot more. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed, everything works out.
And the way to find out about that is to follow you on Instagram, which is CDog22.
Absolutely, or CoreyFeldman.net, because you can always find out everything Corey at CoreyFeldman.net.
Dude, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you,
God bless you, brother.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Sure. I appreciate your support.
Yeah, that was amazing, dude.
Yeah, Corey.
And,
thanks, guys.
Did I say we had bombshells or what? I mean, dude, like there was a lot of hacking going on. There was a lot of conspiracies going on, and it was entertaining. So thank you guys for sticking around to the very end. You know I love the street team, and fuck, man, it's December 30th. So I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year. Yeah, dude.